Your health is your wealth. Does that comment resonate with you? Today, I am going to be joined by Jacki Dalsimer, and she is absolutely extraordinary. She has completely changed her life around. We're not talking about a minor pivot, but a full on 180 to create the life of her dreams. With finances, with health, with relationships, and impacting the world. This episode is going to absolutely rock your world because Jacki brings it on every level. And I think that you're going to resonate with some of the little trial by fires that she's gone through to get to where she is now. So if you are, wanting to grow, develop your mindset, if you're wanting to level up your health and fitness because maybe the pandemic took its toll, or maybe you just are realizing that you are not physiologically performing where you want to be in life and it's affecting other parts, this episode is definitely from you. And if you are looking for a way to develop financial freedom, Jacki has a really great story to tell you. And I'm so excited to have you join us for this episode. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do that so you don't miss another episode. I'm bringing on some really powerful mindset players to speak to you. And I want to make sure that you get this fuel and this encouragement because, as you're going to hear shortly, who you surround yourself with and the thoughts you surround yourself with are going to absolutely impact the trajectory of your course in your journey. All right. And if you haven't already written a review, you have no idea how powerful those are. So I would be absolutely honored if you would take just a moment to write a review. It's really weird if you're on a cell phone, you just have to scroll all the way down past the episodes. And now that Ask Me How I Know, it has been around and we have nearly 100 episodes, you might have to scroll a little bit longer. So I'm celebrating that. That's a good scroll, but I'd absolutely appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Welcome to the Ask Me How I Know show. I'm your host, Julie Holly, and I'm so excited you're here. Ask Me How I Know is the only podcast in the multifamily niche replicating what takes place outside the walls of a seminar. Remember when we used to get together like that? This is like the lobby where honest, unscripted conversations take place and transformation happens. We'll talk about practical problem solving in the multifamily niche as well as overcoming mental roadblocks. This episode is brought to you by 3 Keys Investments. 3 Keys Investments is dedicated to helping people like you, you, enter the multifamily investment space to build passive income and legacy wealth. If you haven't already subscribed and reviewed Ask Me How I Know, I'd be honored if you did. Thanks so much for joining me today, and now for our featured guest. Welcome back to another awesome episode of Ask Me How I Know. This is a mindset edition, and I have one of the most amazing guests joining me for this mindset edition. Jacki is going to absolutely inspire you to live the life of your dreams and show you how, because she's already done it. And there's nothing we need more than somebody with experience to say, hey, here's the way to go. So I just want to introduce my friend, Jacki. Jacki, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to meet with you today and just have an awesome conversation on mindset.
It is going to be awesome. And when we were talking earlier, I said we have to share our story of how we met because, some people have COVID babies and some people have COVID friends. And so I think about, I don't know that we would have met if COVID hadn't happened.
Right. Yeah, because COVID and gyms closing down, that's when I went to virtual training and teaching classes online. And then that's how we connected. So that was awesome. And you were in my first classes at like 6 a.m. your time. It was really cool. And that's how we got to know each other.
It is really amazing how even like starting with mindset of, okay, well, here's this, curveball that was thrown our way. Gyms are closed. You're a fitness instructor and so much more. And you've pivoted. I pivoted at a great gym owner who generously let me borrow a trainer so I could continue my training for mountain bike season. And you and I think we had connected through a mutual friend and then into another network. And next thing you know, I remember before gyms closed, like seeing you were asking for music, like, oh, I need some new music for spin class. And I just remember dropping song after song. And we
Yes,
ended up having this great conversation.
right. That was, I remember that. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes, those were some great song suggestions.
So I suppose all this to say to encourage people that sometimes I think people look at some of those virtual connections that they make as like, oh, okay, well, it's just virtual. And then there are people like you where I'm like, I cannot wait to meet you in person
Right. I
at
know.
some point. It's just a matter of
Yes.
when, right?
Yes, exactly. When we can fly and feel safe about it again.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Jacki, you do so much, you've accomplished so much. I almost don't even know where to begin. So, can we back up? I'm going to go to a post you had recently on Facebook. And anyone who's listening to this, just hop over onto Facebook, find Jacki Dalsimer and connect with her, and then just look at her posts because they're always inspiring. But she has this post of what 2 years ago, the goals that you like. Here you can see Jacki's goals. Can you tell us? Let's just go back 2 years in time and work our way forward, maybe.
All right. So, I mean, really, I guess it was, a little bit over 2 years ago that I was just in a really rough spot as a single mom, two kids, just trying to navigate through life and was really struggling financially. And I felt as though I had this very busy schedule. There was no time in my schedule to put absolutely anything into it. But at the same time, I knew that I needed to figure something out. And so I started looking at how to become an online trainer, an online coach. And I just knew that if I was going to do this, there were things that I needed to learn. And so I started kind of teaching myself. But the post that you're talking about, I actually wrote that down in 2019. And when I was writing it, it was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this. I've become that. I achieved this. And at the time when I was writing it down, I really was like, wow, these are like some pretty lofty achievements and things I'm going to become. But I just kind of was like, okay, everyone says, write down your goals, write down your dreams. So here I am writing them down. And before you know it, 2 years later, everything that was in that post I have accomplished. So it's pretty amazing because
It,
I thought at the time that I did it, I thought like it was like 10 years out.
Isn't that amazing? There's so much power in right. I wrote my goals down for the first time this year. I know everybody's going to be shocked when they hear that, but I actually, you all know if you've been listening, you know that I already walked you through that whole process. But there's so much power in it. What had to change? Because I notice already right now so many internal changes, and I was already growing personally, like doing that personal development prior. And I feel
Right.
like when I wrote things down, like just in the last 3 months, there's been, because I wrote them down a few months ago, like it's even more powerful in that growth and development. So
Right.
what changed within you, or how did you tackle that?
I guess, I had the one thing that I did have were mentors that were absolutely amazing. I have my own coaches, and they just really helped me understand the power of believing in what my story was going to be. And so when I wrote down the goals that you're referring to, I didn't write down like, I want to do, I want to run a marathon or whatever, but it was more about like, who have I become? What have I done? And what have I achieved? So it made me really get into what a person that has already achieved what I was trying to do, who are they? And what are their characteristics, their values, and what are the things that they do and to achieve what the goal that I was trying to achieve. And so that really got me thinking about myself and seeing myself. And so some visualization in there of seeing who it was I wanted to become And then just kind of then backtracking to like, okay, well, to become that person, what are things that I've done? And so writing it down in that way just really helped me then take the action that I needed to. And it was really that switch in belief, going from thinking that I didn't have time, I was too old, to start something new. And I just had all these limiting beliefs that were keeping me from acting. And through working with my coaches and then also shifting and believing that, with, as we have talked about a couple of times together, having a growth mindset so that I know that, yes, there is this goal that I'm going to. I don't know how or what I need to do, but I believe that I can learn whatever I need to learn to achieve my goals.
This is amazing. So I have a few questions. If I were listening, and that's how this is, right? Ask me how I know. I'm curious. I always lead with curiosity. When you talk about the mentors in your life, I know that I have paid mentors in my life, and I see the value in that. But here you are, a single mom, strapped for money, strapped for time. How did you find these mentors? Did you need to pay for these mentors? What did that look like?
Well, I actually, one of the things that I knew I needed to learn was social media marketing. And so I started teaching myself how to use social media to really just connect and develop relationships with people. And before I know it, like just by practicing what I was learning about social media, I connected with a girl and we just really, like you and I hit it off and kind of decided to just, she sort of took me on and partnered with me and was, an example of exactly what I wanted to become.
Oh,
So,
I did not know that. And I just love how organic it was. Like you were, and this is so powerful, Jacki. Oh my word. Here you are, you were pursuing what you wanted and you didn't know where it was going to go, but in your pursuit, what you need shows up along the way.
right. Yes. Oh my gosh, it definitely does. And it's amazing to me when I look back and seeing how it all unfolded because it really did. It was organic. It just things as I worked through it, things just started showing up, the next thing that I needed. So it's been an awesome journey.
That is extraordinary. So when you came to, I'm imagining it's not a perfect yellow brick road. I always say the yellow brick road comes with all the monkeys and scary things along the path. So how did you overcome some of those challenges?
I think the biggest challenges that I personally had were the thoughts in my head, just those limiting beliefs, that I had prior to just taking, just deciding to go for it. There were still like always kind of lingering in there, putting yourself out there on social media. You always have these doubts like, oh,
Seriously.
no one wants to hear what I have to say. This doesn't matter to anybody. No one's paying attention. They're probably thinking, what is she talking about again now today? All of these things. And really, these are just like stories that we create in our head that have no foundation in reality. But if we hold on to them, then we don't take the actions that we need. So I did a lot of work. And I mean, really, like meditation was something that helped me a lot learn how to kind of control my thoughts and realize that I didn't need to attach to them. And like, just like I pivoted in my career, pivot in my thoughts, like, well, what if the opposite of what I'm thinking was true? What would
Wow.
that look like? And how would I act then? And that was always like what I went with. And it was all, the same thing too with a lot of my limiting beliefs were fear based. So I knew, anytime I had a thought that was rooted in a fear that I had, that was definitely something that I needed to change. And so I always would, in my mind, say, well, how can I shift this fear based thought to something that's more love centered and act on that instead?
Oh
So.
my gosh. So powerful. fear can be fear is such a debilitating. I feel like it has is a hook that has so many barbs in it, and trying to rip it out means it takes a little bit of meat maybe off with
Right.
it.
Yes.
so so how did you, I mean, it takes, in my opinion, in my own personal experience, it takes a lot of strength to tackle those fears. I feel like they can be Goliaths to me. I
Yeah.
have my own tactics, but like what worked for you in overcoming that fear and even identifying it?
Yeah, I mean, really, it was, one of the big things that was, I think, a game changer for me. And I started in a group on Facebook with this 5 a.m. morning group where, you had to get up early and check in. And my morning routine included journaling, affirmations, movement, nutrition, and really structuring my time so that that was the first thing that I do in the morning so that I am more intentional with my day, so that I start with that mindset, reminding myself of what my goals are, what I'm trying to achieve, who I'm trying to become, just kind of starting each day with that and getting in, and it's like exercise. You've got to do it consistently every day. And over time, you see the difference. So I think that that was, one of the biggest things for me was realizing, like, instead of waking up and like rushing to shower to get out the door, like, waking up at the last minute, like really taking an hour, hour and a half each morning before anything in my house begins.
Isn't it, it's such a game changer, and that's one of those tools where you look at successful people, success leaves clues, all those type of things, right? And
Right.
you were saying, what are these people, okay, which I'm going to go all the way back over there, okay, because this really, you identified what are these people who I want to be like. I want to be a successful online trainer. What is it that they do? What do I need to do to become that? So was this one of those pieces that you
Yeah.
identified?
Yeah. And, so it was like I would think of them and just be like, okay, so someone that's already this, let's say they're passionate, they're knowledgeable, consistent. So, like the terms that would describe them, and then actually put with that action steps. So if I am showing up passionate, what does that look like? And what are the things I'm doing? So, and that was creating content and putting out content to show that I was passionate about it, and to at the same time show the knowledge component as well. So it just, was really amazing taking that direction with it, and just thinking about like who it is and what are the specific then action steps, and then holding myself accountable to actually taking them. I use an app called Streaks, and it basically, whatever you're trying to install as like a habit or a new routine, you put it in there, and each day that you do it, you mark it, which I think is really cool, because then you get this calendar. And let's say, and I see this all the time as a health coach, like people will be doing really good and then they have a bad day, and then it's like they just drop off, and it's like that one day. Whereas if you just the next day get back on track and do it and start getting another sequence of days of consistency in, when you look at the month as a whole, you might only see like 2 or 3 times that you missed, and but the rest of the month you were nailing it. So having apps and ways to track what I was doing was really helpful. I kind of have liked those behavior modification things where, you get like little checks and, good jobs. So that
Hey, who
app was
doesn't like the gold? I like a gold star.
right.
Like tell me I'm doing a
Exactly.
good job. And I think there's some brain science that's also included with that streaks concept, where our brain just naturally wants to continue that pattern. And so we have this aversion once we see that streak to, oh well, I don't want to stop. I've got 3 days down. I don't
Right.
want to stop it. So
Right. Right.
it starts creating that internal desire to stick with it, which is
Right.
powerful.
Yes, very.
I love this so much. This is amazing. I want to talk now about beliefs because you and I were talking about how important, and we see eye to eye on this whole concept of, believing in the possibilities. And can you share, just some of that mindset of believing and maybe how that impacted your life?
Yeah, I mean, basically from listening, reading books and things, like I learned a lot about that power of belief. And when you are kind of having certain beliefs are like your thoughts that then create your feelings, which you act upon. So if you believe that you can accomplish something, then you have those positive thoughts, positive feelings around it. So you're going to take that action. So if you don't have the belief in it, then you're going to feel negative, not, you're going to put it off, you're going to procrastinate, and you're just not going to take action because it just doesn't feel good to.
Right, right. That belief is really powerful, in aligning those feelings. I know I have a vision board, and those feelings that are attached to that, and actually the combination of believing in something and the feelings, it's like they go hand in hand. And if you really want to achieve something, you have to have them married and combined.
Definitely.
Okay, this is a total random question that if I were listening, I'd be so curious, especially if you've been listening to Ask Me How I Know. I've talked about sometimes you have to change your squad. And when you want something different in life, sometimes that means looking and evaluating the people in your life and understanding if they're helping or hindering your pursuit of where the next best version of you is going to show up. So I'm putting you in the hot seat a little bit because we didn't talk about this, but our conversation has led me to wonder, through these changes, because these are powerful changes in your life of flip in thinking, a major shift in a passion pursuit and everything. Did the people around you shift? Did you lose some friends? What did that look like?
I mean, prior to starting, I had kind of already been realizing that, I may have had some toxic people in my life that I shouldn't have. And so I was kind of starting to change my surroundings. But when I got involved in and started pursuing my online health coaching business, I over time really started surrounding myself with more and more like-minded people. And that again was another major game changer, because when you're around people that are positive and they're supportive and they want to see you grow, you feel much better about doing it. And I've done things with my social media so that when I look at my news feed, there's people tell me all the time, like, oh, I don't get on Facebook because everyone's complaining about this or that. And I'm like, my news feed is all sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies. Like,
That's right.
I have made it so that it is, and I'm all right with that. But keeping just, on the social media and just looking for other like-minded people, and, unfollowing the people that were not very pleasant. So,
There's a lot of truth, and I've spoken about that. I've read a few books. I just finished reading recently High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard, and he talks about that concept of, leveling up your squad in a sense, and that can be really challenging. And I've encouraged people that it doesn't mean that necessarily that somebody is a bad person, but you have to look at the role they're playing in your life and make sure that it's a beneficial relationship. And that
yeah.
doesn't mean one-sided selfish, because nothing should just be self-serving, but it needs to be healthy in every way, shape, and form.
Right. I agree totally. And, just having these people that surround you that are more positive really, is great. But you do have some people, and sometimes they're even like your own family members, that you kind of have to, it's not like you have to cut the ties, but it's like you just have to know that when you're around them, it might create certain feelings, and you've got to limit your exposure to that. So otherwise, it will take a toll on yourself.
Definitely, definitely. I think a lot of people can relate to that. I'm going to shift gears a little bit because I want to make sure we have time. And in my mind, I'm seeing you as an online health and fitness coach. And I see these amazing stories of your clients and the lives that you open up to them. And it's amazing. You know, I'd honestly like to see, I'd like to see, and I think you have posted this, but you've been, you know, healthy and physically healthy and fit, you know, I mean, like that's been your lifestyle, but I'd like to see like old Jacki, new Jacki with like old mindset, new mindset, because that's really like you could see such a day and night difference between,
Right,
well, and I didn't know you then, but you know, from, you know, talking with you, I know there's a day and night difference, and
right.
what a cool thing that is.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, you need to definitely again go and follow Jacki and be in her world because it is so encouraging. So I want to talk about now that health and fitness component and what you offer. And again, I've seen the lives that you've changed and impacted, and it's extraordinary.
Yes, it's awesome. I love coaching people. And basically, I coach macro habits around healthy mind, healthy weight management, nutrition and hydration, sleep, surroundings, and stress management. So these are all things, it's not just about like a weight loss or a diet type. It's a life transformation. And if you are working and improving each one of these macro habits, that's going to give you more energy to basically thrive in your life. And so, yes, I get a lot of people that start with me because they realize they have a weight loss issue that they want to work with, and maybe because they're on high blood pressure medication now and they're pre-diabetic. But what happens as they are losing the weight and we're working on the other habits, it's just amazing to see these people. They completely change how they show up for their families, how they show up on their career. It's just, they're more confident, and it just is amazing to see, because when they first start working with me, they're kind of like, well, I guess this is what I'm going to be doing. And but
Yes.
then once they start feeling amazing and noticing, and we do a lot to help them see how this is connecting in their lives, and how to provide that feedback to them that this is something you want to continue to do.
It's so amazing. Again, since I've been watching these, you know, little stories and testimonies of these people and their lives changing, it's more than heartwarming. It's like they get a second chance on life.
Yes.
So let's say we have somebody in the audience listening, and COVID really knocked them down, and their lifestyle shifted. They didn't quite pivot well, and they're feeling it physically, they're feeling it mentally. What advice, what are, you know, maybe two or three things that they could do immediately? I already think that they should reach out to you, but you know, maybe we can give them a
Yes,
couple
that
things.
would be great. Yes, I can
Yeah.
definitely help you with that. But I think, when I, am going through tough times like this, the first thing that I go to are basically working on my health, and, making sure I'm staying hydrated, making sure I'm getting the proper amount of sleep, making sure I'm getting movement, because these are things that when you are stuck and have like negativity in your mind, and you're just feeling it physically and you just feel defeated, if you're not doing those basic things, you're not going to cope with it as well as you could. So, at least if you have that strong foundation, you're going to handle the situation better. But most likely, you're going to just dominate the situation, because it really does make a difference how you fuel your body, how you hydrate, how you take care of it with exercise. It really makes a difference in your mindset and allows you to actually take action and be productive.
I had this image in my mind. Apparently, I'm full of images in my mind today, which is funny. But I'm thinking of water, a glass of water that might have some sediment in it, and if you want to just shaking it up, the sediment will just all sit down at the bottom, and then you move that water, and it shakes, and it gets it moving and everything. Like and that doesn't have to be bad sediment. Maybe sometimes our protein shakes and stuff like that, they can kind of get the sediment at the bottom. You want to have a consistently delicious drink, so shake it up, right? And like physically, that energy just sitting, like that energy needs to move. It needs to be kinetic to just be released.
Right. And that, I mean, and that is where, most people, when you become sedentary, like the the longer and longer that you're sedentary, the harder and harder it is to get moving. So, and you get more time, fatigue sets in. And that it's not because you're necessarily tired, but it's because you haven't been moving. And so that is like one thought that I have to, I work with people like, I know you think that you're too tired to go for a walk right now, but those are just those thoughts in your head that we're going to not attach to and shift and just go for the walk. And ultimately, they feel better.
That is fantastic. I have one question, and then I suppose we need to wrap up a little bit here. That everyone knows that I'm on this kick about sleep. I've been on this kick since I had children and started, studying sleep and how important it is to growing kids.
Yes.
It's important for us. So
Very.
I'm going to be quiet and let the audience hear it from you.
I mean, basically, I think I was listening to some study and, they were talking about with athletes, their improvement in performance if they actually got 7 to 8 hours of solid sleep and how it made them their sprint times improved by 2/10 of a second, which 2/10,
Whoa,
is a
that's
lot
huge.
in a sprint. And so, they said basically, that could be the difference between getting a scholarship or not getting a scholarship. And so that was like a real light bulb that went off for me there. Like, wow, if I did improve my sleep, what would I be better at? Because and the cognitive decline that we have when we aren't getting sleep is real. And a lot of people say, oh no, I do fine with 5 or 6 hours. And I'm like, you think you do. Like you think you are, and you may be performing really well, but it could be better. Like, what would it look like if you improved by 20%, And so it's amazing because that's one of the things that kind of started with me was I, was very healthy, worked out, ate well, but I did not drink water. I was a trainer that drank Rockstar and Diet Cokes and I was like, I told everybody to drink water, but I didn't drink it myself. And then about 2 years ago, at the same time I started this, I was like, I'm going to start drinking water. And I can't believe the difference in that. And that's when, too, I started realizing all these different macro habits, if you just improve each one a little bit, how much better you become. And sleep is huge.
It's amazing. I have this picture in my another picture. It's that kind of day, I suppose, of a car though. And I've mentioned this before, but you can't change the oil on a car if it's moving. You can't repair whatever is going wrong with a car or whatever maintenance needs to be taken. Your car has to be stopped. It has to be turned off. And I think about that with our physiology, like when we are sleeping, that's the equivalent of our car being turned off and our body being able to go in there and do all the fine tune-ups. And
Right.
if you never let your body do that, it's
Yeah.
going to take its toll.
It definitely does. It is a very important time for repairing and rebuilding. So
I love it. Jacki, it has been such a delight. I want to know um, maybe one or two of your goals because you achieved these goals you wrote out in 2019. So, do you mind sharing these a couple of your big, hairy, audacious goals?
Sure. So, well, I guess, one of the things that my one goal was to help 500 people in a year. And I did that last year. So I'm, of course, going to up that. I also am very passionate about training people to be health coaches as well. So I'm really trying to grow and help like 30 to 40 people become health coaches in their communities. So that's a big part of what I want to do because I think that I know how helpful this has been for me in so many different levels to kind of taken this. It's been way more than the financial piece. Yeah, the finances are nice, but um, just what I've learned about myself in the process, I think is really important for women, especially like if you've gone through some life. It's just been a great experience. And then being able to give back and pay it forward just is very rewarding. And so I know that helping others, it's just another way that I can help people. And I really am looking forward to or planning, I'm saying I've done this to really presenting and speaking to large groups of people, not always just on Zooms, but in conferences and workshops. I'd really like to start presenting.
I am excited. And you know what I would really like to see, quite honestly? I would love to see like you at business events, quite frankly. The business world is so underserved in this capacity, and these corporations, they want the most from their employees, but if their employees don't have these things intact,
Right.
just like high performance habits and health and fitness and all this, like if their habits are trash, they're not going to have the best employees ever, and the
Right.
environment and culture isn't going to, like, so that's my dream for you. Can I impose a
Yes,
dream on you? Can you
I
go and
love it. I
disrupt
do
the
like
business
it.
world?
Yes, I love it because I was a teacher in my past life or just 20 years ago, but so I do love educating people. And as a teacher, I was training teachers. And so you're right, this does fit very well into the business world as well.
If someone wants, well, wait, before I get there, I'm jumping ahead here. Is there anything else that you'd say I really want to make sure everybody knows or understands X, Y, or Z?
I mean, basically, your health is your wealth. And I just want to leave you with that. If you don't have your health and you have wealth, you're not going to be able to enjoy it. So I just think that it is something that people really need to make a high priority just because of the way it impacts their overall life.
I love it. I agree completely. I was just telling my daughter, like we are snuggling in bed, and I was telling her just in the last couple of mornings, like, you got to take care of your body, because if you don't take care of your body, like nothing else matters. Like
Right.
you can't go, you can't enjoy, you
Yeah.
can't create, like you're stuck.
Right.
So,
Right. Yes.
yes.
I'm grateful for my health every day.
Absolutely. I could talk to you all day, Jacki, because
I
you're just
know. It
a
was so
delight and so awesome. But what is the best way if someone is resonating with what you're saying, and they're saying, "Wow, I identify with, I'm not the best me right now, and I really want to get my body and my mind dialed in." Where should they go to reach out to you?
basically Facebook or
Yep.
LinkedIn, either one. But you can go to my Facebook and just friend request me, send me a message, and we can just, start chatting and see if what I offer is a good fit.
That is fantastic. And I'll leave a link down in the comments below, so that we're just going to social media. And that's how Jacki and I connected to begin with. And I love that, you were pursuing your dreams, your goals, your ambitions. And that's what I was doing. And our paths crossed. And here we
Yes,
are.
yes, it's so awesome. I love it.
Oh, Well, thank you, Jackie, for joining us on this episode of Ask Me How I Know.
Thank you for having me.
And to my sweet, wonderful, awesome audience, I just want you to know, like, this is just one step, right? I always leave you with just take the one step that you need to take that will lead to your freedom. And this might be that one step that you need. So go find your freedom. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Ask Me How I Know. This episode was brought to you by 3 Keys Investments. They are dedicated to helping people like you, you, my awesome listeners, develop passive income and legacy wealth through multifamily investing. Feel free to check out their website, 3keysinvestments.com, to see if there is an offering that will help your portfolio grow and meet all of your needs. If you haven't already rated, reviewed, subscribed, liked, all of those bells and whistles, I would be absolutely honored if you would do that for Ask Me How I Know. Thanks again, and go make it a great day.